So let's see what's going on for Gemini. Looks like the month opens with Hierophant in reverse. And Hierophant is a card that represents the status quo or traditionalism, doing things in a conventional way that is tried and true. So he represents traditional mores, often associated with religion. So he's also a spiritual card, but a lot of what Hierophant represents is standard ways of doing things, or doing things conventionally or in a traditional way. And what this tells me, the fact that he's in reverse, tells me that you may be doing things in a non-traditional way or an unconventional way, that you may be bucking tradition or bucking conventionality. So he's also pointing right now to the star. So because he is a spiritual card, it tells me that you may be looking like to the stars or heavens for your spirituality, or that you may be going off on your own and acknowledging your own contributions to things, your own self-worth, your individual needs rather than the group needs. So the star is a card of self-acceptance and of hope. You can see in this card that she's naked, which is all about self-acceptance. She's got one foot in the water and one foot on the ground, which is a balance of the emotional world, the watery world, and the water element, and then being grounded, which is the physical world, which is, just being connected to the earth, feeling grounded, feeling stable, feeling solid. So it's a nice balance between your emotional world and the physical world. And star is full of hope, full of radiance, full of, dreams and hopes and visions, and feeling like you get to embody those. So the fact that Hierophant is pointing to star tells me that, and he's in reverse, says that your focus for December, Gemini, may be more on your own self and your own self-acceptance of your own ways, rather than feeling the need to conform to traditions and mores and other outside conventionality. I also see at the beginning of the month that there is something that used to be a battle, or some battle that has happened that the sun is setting on. It looks like something's wrapping up, or something has completed. There has been some sort of open conflict. And Five of Swords is about collecting the lessons, or collecting the rewards, the spoils of the battle. That maybe if you're trying to collect information or collect lessons from the battle that that has happened, it's trying to take something away from what has happened. So I call this card picking up the pieces. So if there was something that perhaps Hierophant was involved in, like doing something in an unconventional way, going against tradition, going against the normal standards or mores, and doing something in a way that created conflict, see if you can walk away with something. See if you can walk away with spoils from the battle, because that's available to you when Five of Swords happens. It also speaks to open conflict. Two of Coins is joint finances, and it can also be juggling things. So in the reverse position, it tells me that you may be feeling a little overextended, perhaps especially related to money. Oftentimes with Two of Coins, it feels like you're juggling money between one thing and another thing, like there's just enough to cover the bases. And it feels like you may have a couple balls in the air and are having to juggle things. So when this card comes and it's in the reverse position, see if you can find balance between, say, work life and home life, or work life and personal life. If you can manage to see you know, have a fun or flexibility with all that you're juggling. That's usually my recommendation when I see 2 of coins in reverse. It also tells me that there may be a division between any kind of joint finances. That may be splitting up. If you have common assets with someone else, 2 of coins in reverse tells me that there may be some tension between that. 6 of Cups is usually about childhood experiences and innocence and kindness. In the reverse position, sometimes it can show up as cynicism or not having very much innocence, like feeling cynical about something. So be careful that you don't, if there is something that is separating in terms of joint finances or joint assets, be careful not to be cynical about it. See if you can adopt a childlike, playful attitude towards it. That's the high side of this 6 of Cups card. It's innocence. It's, you know, giving to one another in an innocent, pure way with no expectation of gain. It's like how children give to one another. So be careful that in whatever you share with someone else, be careful that you maintain the original innocence that you had when you started and when you gain that asset with them, and see if you can give to the other person with the same sort of innocence and childlike kindness that was there originally. It seems like there may be some sort of battle that's brewing regarding that. So see if you can stay away from cynicism towards the beginning of the month, Gemini, and see if you can maintain a spirit of kindness, innocence, and just sweetness and friendship. I had already talked a little bit about Star and how that reflects hope and how that reflects self-acceptance. I'm seeing in both of these cards Star and Moon. And I'm also seeing Hierophant is pointing to those. So there may be a way in which towards the end of the month you end up in a position where you're having to make a difficult decision. This card is sometimes called Dilemma. And in the 2 of Swords, she's basically holding up 2 swords in front of her, and because she can't make a decision between one sword or the other, she's effectively blindfolded and checked out. It's a card where it creates stagnancy or stasis because the figure cannot decide between one thing or another. So it's sort of like you have the stars and the moon, you know, available to you to look at. You've got this information, but you're having a hard time making a decision between something or another. It looks like you have some hope in the situation. You're hopeful and you're really showing up truthfully and honestly, but you're kind of stuck between making a decision of like, do I do something that is against tradition, or am I okay with breaking you know, expectations or codes of conduct that people are expecting of me. I feel like this is who I want to be, but I don't know whether I can go this way or that way, how it's going to be looked at. So that's what's going on here. In the middle of the month, you have 4 of Cups and 8 of Coins. 4 of Cups is in the reverse position. So what this card is warning me about for you, Gemini, is be careful that you don't become so introspective or just concerned about what's going on with yourself that you miss out on things that the universe is trying to hand to you. One of the lessons of 4 of Cups is to not be so focused on your current environment that you miss this thing that is going to fill your heart. The cups represent heart energy and emotion. So the universe is trying to hand you something that you're really going to love. But if you're completely focused on what currently exists, you may miss out on the thing that is being handed to you by the universe. So what this card always tells me is look up. Don't be so self-contained and self-reflecting that you miss everything that's outside of your experience, because the downside of this card is that you may just keep getting more of the same when really life wants to give you more. But if you're always preoccupied with what exists, you may miss out on what else can be handed to you. The other thing that's happening at the middle of the month is 8 of Coins. Eight of Coins is a card of focusing on your work and sort of putting your nose to the grindstone and just really working on something that you love. So this is diligence in your work. This is constant effort over time with your work and producing results. This is an artisan card. So this may mean that you just have a big focus on your work. And that's going to be one of the things that you are embroiled in, and it usually means work that you love and enjoy and you produce results from it. Also towards the middle of the month, there's going to be something that's coming to a close. So Death is a card where it represents the ending of a cycle. You can see in the card that the figure it's Death actually who's cutting this rose. And you know, one of the meanings that I get from this card is that there's a time for everything. Sometimes things, you know, it's by one cycle ending that a new one can begin. It's by when the rose blooms, it can't last forever. The petals start to fall off. So this is a card of change and transformation. And it's a signal that something is coming to the end of its cycle. And that's in the middle of the month for you, Gemini. Again, this Two of Swords card is a card of dilemma, or it's a card of not being able to make a choice between two things. So you may feel like you're stuck at the end of the month. When you're faced with two options, you may not have an idea of which to choose between. And the solution to this card is standing up and just choosing one, just taking action and just going in one direction, because it seems like there might be some anxiety or some mental gymnastics that you're doing regarding this thing. This card, Nine of Swords, is a card of worry. It's a card of over-analyzing things. It's actually too many thoughts, because in this card there's 2 or 3 swords that are actually involved with the hands that are bound. And it's a card of not making mountains out of molehills. So if you have some legitimate problems or worries or concerns, if you're having this dilemma between making this decision, try not to overanalyze it and create all these more thoughts, all these more swords. Try to alleviate your anxiety or worry. Try to not let your mind run away with itself. Just take action. Choose one sword and put the other down. And it's okay if you make a wrong decision. Just make a decision to get yourself out of this checked out feeling. That's towards the end of the month. And then also, I see that you've got 5 and 6 of Coins in reverse. This tells me that you might be worried about your finances at the end of the month. 5 of Coins is often depicted as financial loss, and 6 of Coins is a card of resources, the haves and the have-nots. We see in both of these cards a beggar appear, so this tells me that you might be feeling like you're depleted financially. But one of the focuses of this card, 5 of Coins, is keeping your focus on the spiritual world, the world that is always available to you to renew you, to fulfill you, where it's always warm and comfortable. And that's where the person who's rich lives, is in that spiritual world of abundance and prosperity. That's why they have the resources to give. So, you know, maybe with holiday spending, you're feeling like you're depleted in terms of your resources. But just understand that, you know, if you keep your focus on what you have spiritually, that may be able to comfort you through a financially difficult time, or that may, you know, be careful not to get wound up in worrying about your finances or being overly concerned. Again, just take action to resolve any situations that you might come across in that way. For you, Gemini, we have a new moon in your 7th house of partnerships on December 11th. So that may mean that if you're in a partnership, that it may take on a new phase, that it may, you may get a new segment or a new cycle in your relationship, or you may even take a new, you know, journey within it. Things may develop in a new way. If you're not in a relationship, then you may find a new relationship. It's a good time to set the intentions during a new moon for partnership, and that could be romantic, or it could be a business partnership, or in whatever way that you may partner with someone. 7th house is your house of partnership. So new moons there are a good time to set new intentions for new partnerships that may develop over the next 6 months. On December 25th, we have a full moon in Cancer. That's in your 2nd house of material assets and possessions. So there is a way that something's coming to the surface, something is completing, or something is coming to fruition during the full moon, December 25th on Christmas Day. So if there's something that you've been trying to acquire, like a house, you may make your final payment there, or you may finally come into ownership of something that you've been paying off. Or something completes, like if you have owned something like a boat or any kind of material financial asset, you may decide that you've completed it and that you no longer need it, so you may be willing to release it. That's another meaning of full moons, is that something comes to completion, to fruition, it's ended its cycle, it is ready to be let go of. So that's happening in your 2nd house of finances. It's also possible that you may see something come to you, some money that's promised you, a raise, or something finally come to light during a full moon. So it finally comes to completion, that you get that financial asset coming to you. So that's your reading for December, Gemini. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments. I love replying to the comments down there. And also feel free to like, share this video on any platform, and subscribe.